Welcome to Shri and Kira Live, the voice of passionate action, bringing fresh perspectives and timeless wisdom for today's shifting paradigm. Now, it is your moment to open your mind, relax into your body and spirit as we explore the greater meaning of your now experience. Bringing wisdom, laughter, and clarity, here are Shri and Kira.
Well, namaste, beloved ones, and welcome to the voice of passionate action, Shri and Kira Live.
I am wisdom teacher Shri Ram Ka.
And I am Kira Ra. And hey, guys, before we get started today, I really want to invite you to join us on Twitter. Hey, you probably didn't even know we were on Twitter, but we know that we can't get to everybody during the show, and we always want to say hello. And so why not say hello to us using our Twitter handle, which is simply at Shri and Kira. And remember, you can also use the hashtag Shri and Kira Live so we can read your tweets later. And if you're a Facebook user, say hi to us at facebook.com, Shri and Kira Official, because, you know, we love hearing from you guys. And if you join our Twitter community or our Facebook world, lots more we can share with you beyond our Sunday shows.
I have some colloquialisms that I will type.
Oh, my goodness. A hashtag Shri and Kira.
Hashtag OMG. Anyway. But
actually, it's hashtag Shri and Kira Live. I messed that one up. OMG.
OMG.
Hey, welcome. I'm loving today's show, Shri, because we're continuing a deep journey into multidimensional communication and what it's like to bring forth these messages with integrity, what it's like to receive these messages. You know, in the world, there is just a plethora of messages out there right now. We're really diving into the meat of this information.
Well, it was last week we had Steve and Barbara Rother on the show.
And if you didn't catch that show, it's also now live at YouTube, along with right here in the archives at BBS and at ShriandKiraRadio.com.
And Steve and Barbara have, for the last 20 plus years, have been bringing through wonderful messages from a collective of entities that are simply call themselves the group.
The group. I love the group.
And as we have traveled over the years, we've met so many people who are in touch with these other spaces, these other zones, you might call them. And for many people, this comes as second nature after a while. But also for many other people, it's still rather mysterious. And the whole phenomenon of channeling, of bringing through information that seems to be localized elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yet offers incredible perspectives on our here and now.
Very, very much so. And you know, one of the things, Shri, I know when we ventured out, we've been out in the world now for 12 years with the messages that we're so blessed to have come through us. And there is a sense of community, I guess, let's say, among those who this is our life. You know, one of the things, Shri and I are in the middle of a beautiful event down here in Guatemala right now. We have some beautiful people here, literally from all over the world right now. And one of the blessings is that there is a community of integrity, that when you are bringing through these messages with integrity, when you're bringing through these messages with the intent of world service, like you and I, this is not our career. This is our life. Yes, you know, this is 24/7, 365. This is our life. And it takes support through many different means to continue. You know, you and I have met some beautifully gifted people who could not find that support, that are simply no longer bringing forward information.
Yeah, it's an interesting world because spiritual information for a long time seemed to be part of the jurisdiction of spiritual organizations.
Well, very true, just like a religion.
And while there's beauty and wisdom in world religions, there's also beauty and wisdom in universal spirituality.
Well, absolutely.
And the notion and truth that the divine is available to all.
Absolutely. And you know, one of the things that we always love sharing is take on the Gandhi quote that, you know, at this point, there's over 7 billion points of light. Oh, my goodness. That was Bartley, our French bulldog, who is thinking that we're not giving him enough time. Talk about a point of light that is looking for attention. But, you know, in a way that's very symbolic as to what's happening on our planet right now is that there are as many teachers as there are students, and there are as many students as there are teachers, and all of them are coming forward right now, which is really inviting us to a level of spiritual discernment.
Spiritual discernment is truly the magic phrase, because in our world today, we're witnessing in the outer world so much conflict.
Yeah.
It's certainly evidenced in the political system in the United States.
Sure.
It's evidenced in the inter-country conflict, inter-religious conflicts in the Middle East and other locations. And while some would just say, well, it's been going on for centuries,
Yeah.
I would say, why not deal with it now?
Well,
why not confront this now? Why
you know,
wait?
well, there's always a why wait. You know, it seems that we're always at the ultimate, if not now, when moment. And there's so many fascinating stories. And hey, guys, remember that this show is live. The lines are open if you want to jump in the queue. I know we already have people on hold, but jump in the queue, ask your questions, because we have an amazing guest. I mean, I cannot think of a more perfect person to be with us today to really talk about what it's been like to sustain these messages and to bring these messages out, and the dedication that it takes.
Well, absolutely. Because I remember some years ago as strange things were happening in my life.
Strange days indeed. I have the doors floating in my head right now, Sri.
Let's just say that experiences were happening that were profound and wondrous.
Mm-hmm.
And I began looking for others who were having these experiences.
Yes.
And it's a challenging thing. There are certainly some expos out there that have some sincere people and some strange people, and you get the whole gamut.
Well, that's the gift, because it helps us grow our spiritual discernment.
But I remember in the it's almost 20 years ago now.
Don't admit that.
Well, it was. Discovering the Sedona Journal of Emergence.
Yeah.
And the Sedona Journal of Emergence has been a steady beacon.
Truly.
Offering an assembly, a collecting point for these channeled messages. And we're delighted today. We have the founder and the publisher, Melody O'Ryin Swanson, who has demonstrated incredible tenacity.
Oh, I can't even imagine what this woman has done, not only keeping this magazine going for so long, but so beautifully. This magazine is a work of art. I mean, every month it's a work of art.
Absolutely. And as she has proudly printed on her masthead, the intent of the Sedona Journal is to celebrate our emergence into multidimensionality and bring forward information about the truth of our eternal nature.
How beautiful. I mean, really, how beautiful, because it's not just words. In other words, what Melody has done is this is not just words. She proves it every day.
And her vision and her insight have provided this medium for channelers, for channeled information, for inspiration to be shared with the world.
Yeah.
And
truly the world. She has a wonderful worldwide distributorship. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so we want to honor Melody and the Sedona Journal and welcome Melody O'Ryin Swanson to the show.
Welcome, Melody.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. We're glad to have you with us.
And so I just need to ask you, because it's in the top of my mind right now, Melody, how long have you been doing this, really?
Well, I started the company in the Harmonic Convergence 1987. So that's August 1987. The magazine didn't really get going. It came out like one issue every time I could get a few dollars to put it out, but it started monthly, I think, in February 1991.
Wow, that is just awesome. I mean, it's really been going steadily ever since then. And I just have to ask, because I'm sure everyone's out there wondering, okay, we know that the Harmonic Convergence was an extraordinary event. What happened? What said inside of you, I'm going to do this? Because this is just amazing what you've created. What inspired you to bring this forward?
Well, I've always wanted to get the teacher and the student together. I first joined, like everybody else, I think, my age, the ARE was the beginning point. I joined their group in 1969. And over the years, I had, a little bit later, in my house in Miami, I had an organization called Mandalama, and I would bring in spiritual teachers, Dean Houston, Satchidananda, Zen, Roshis. You could get a certificate in Gestalt psychology by going to workshops there. You could get a master's degree in psychology by going to workshops there. And then when the neighbors got a little upset, several years
that's
later,
a story.
I would hire colleges and have events. We hired the Opera Center in Miami, I remember, and had Ram Dass. Always it was the idea that there were teachers out there with wisdom, and there were people who needed that information, and I saw myself as the connection point, as the facilitator of that. So
what a beautiful mission.
We had a newsletter with Mandalama. I think it went out to 14,000 people when it eventually stopped. So
clearly a life.
There's a lot of history here. I don't know how to condense it.
Well, no, but wow. I mean, I'm sitting here holding so much appreciation for you, because that's a lot of work. I mean, what you were doing was a lot of work. And so I need to ask, what happened in your life? Is there a story in your life that inspired this mission in you? I mean, did you always just know this is what you were going to do?
Oh, no. Until 1969, something must have happened. I don't have a specific event. But, everybody was waking up. That was the first wave. Before that, I was totally, absolutely, I walked out of the church because I said, you don't know your ancient history. You're lying to me.
Good for you.
I had no spiritual awareness whatsoever. I mean, just daily life. And then there was, in the 60s and the 70s, we had visions. Everything was happening then.
Yes.
It was an absolutely amazing time. And it went slowly. At first, I think we taught meditation for ARE, and it just sort of blossomed after that. In 1985, I knew I had to quit my job in Miami, but I didn't know why or where I was going. And through a series of events that were so strange but I won't go into them, I ended up in Sedona, Arizona. And I knew I had to be there, but I didn't want to because there was no water there. I love to live by the water.
Oh.
So, and then I fell into it. I helped somebody came to me and said, I want to buy a printing press, but I don't have any money. Will you sign for me? And naively, I did. And then they left town, and suddenly I had a printing press I had to pay for. And
well, the universe is always interesting.
So I started a printing company in my garage. I knew nothing about printing. I'd never been in a printing shop. But then I saw that as a way that maybe eventually I could start some type of publishing company. And it took years to get going, but it did.
So were the first magazines printed, or are they still printed by you? I didn't realize that you had a printing press or went through that process.
Oh, yes. I've always printed everything that I publish, all the books that I publish, every magazine.
Wow.
Now I'm in Flagstaff, Arizona, and the printing presses are there in the same building where we produce the magazine, and we ship it, we account for it. Everything is done right there.
Wow, I had no idea. Yeah. That's an enormous amount of work. Now, how about it? You obviously must have been able to attract to you people that could assist you with this, because it sounds like you had to learn this from the ground up. It was just kind of like the universe said, okay, you're going to sign for this printing press and this is your future. And then all of a sudden there's your future. And you really turned that into an extraordinary gift for mankind. Did you find that you were able to attract people you needed to assist you?
I did. I think we all had an agreement beforehand because my wonderful editor, Margaret Pinion, my first typesetter, Michael Tyree, authors would show up, and my legal name is O'Ryan, and they would walk in the door and say, so-and-so, whoever they channeled, told me to find O'Ryan. I mean, my best job-getting thing was from outer space, I think.
I love it.
They would just say, I was told to come here, and it just sort of grew organically.
Well, you've become the antenna.
In so many ways. And now you've grown to the web. And then you're now in Spanish. How did that come to be?
Well, that wasn't such a good idea. I didn't do due diligence. I had to stop that. We still have 6 books in Spanish, but I had to stop the magazine because I don't speak Spanish. I just thought that they would want to. I thought there was a market out there, but I don't know how to reach it. So maybe someday we can start up again with someone who actually understands Spanish, who can start that division or something.
Right, right. Over the years, you've had the opportunity then to work with many different authors, many different channelers, and I presume this has really forced you to hone your discernment skills. Do you find that you get a lot of submissions that you feel should not be printed, or do you believe that if they show up, they get printed? How do you do that?
Well, I'm much more discerning now. When I first started, I was more impressed with the channels than what they wrote, and some of my early books were published based on the charming personality of the channels. But now I'm much more discerning, right? I read everything that goes in the magazine because I don't want anything doom and gloom or fluffy or dishonest or there's a sense, I think, of what goes in, and we get tons of submissions, but we publish, what we have a small staff, so we do the magazine 2 weeks, and then we work on books 2 weeks, and then we work on magazine 2 weeks. So we can't publish that many books, but we consistently try to pick out the best ones, or I do.
Well, that's a commitment. What a beautiful commitment.
Well, indeed, it's taking responsibility for your role as editor, publisher.
Absolutely.
And I know that the one thing I have to admit is I do remember the period you're talking about. I was just waking up to what was going on in the late 60s and early 70s, and with reading Timothy Leary and Ram Dass and being ignited in that time was an amazing experience for me in my life. However, I look at my children and what they went through in their college years and their so-called waking up years, and I don't see the same zeal in that generation, at least the ones that I was close to. I was wondering if you have a perspective on that.
I do. It seems that the most intense energy of waking up was that first wave in the late 60s and the 70s. And then it got really quiet for a while. Then in the 80s, I think like the late 80s, then there was another wave. And now it's like, all right, this is the third and last wave, so wake up or else.
Yeah, I love the way you phrase that.
Well, that I agree with you. That feels congruent with what I've witnessed. That we're at the time with so many crystalline ones taking birth, and that our world is seeing more polarity and turbulence than ever before.
Well,
and that's a sign of the mix.
Well, and that was also just I think I mentioned the other day that on Huffington Post they had published this article where there was a study that was just recently done that said that Americans have reached the highest state of polarity ever. And so, certainly talking about it's like, okay, there was this wave, then there was this second wave, now we're in this third wave or out, makes complete sense because that is where we're at. I feel, Shri and I have joked about this more than once, Melody, that I feel that our generation has unfinished business, and that's what we're busy doing is assisting that because things did go quiet for a little while. Yeah,
and that there's a whole you could call it the wave that needs midwifing, that needs nourishment. I think there's a lot of seeds planted out there, and a lot more watering still to be done. Well, according to the channel that I talked to last week, or talked with the being through the channel, it's a galactic thing. We were supposed to be ready 2 years ago, so there's some intense catching up that we have to do right now. Procrastination is a wonderful motivator sometimes. When you say you're at deadline, okay.
And it is very much a galactic issue.
Yes.
Absolutely. One of the gifts is that we are being invited to remember ourselves beyond this one world allegiance. And I have to smile because on a density level, we're already starting having people kicking and screaming about becoming a global community, much less the greater universal community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's past invited, though. I think it's a process that is going on that we can't stop. We can cooperate with it or we can resist it, but it's not in us to stop it.
Agreed.
Absolutely. It's tough to change a rising tide.
Indeed. No, I 100% agree.
We have a caller standing by. I think let's take a moment and welcome Brian from Michigan to the show.
Namaste, Brian. Welcome back. Are you there, Brian? Okay. Well, Doug, our producer, I'll just make a note that we can't hear Brian.
He just texted me. He dropped off, so that's okay.
All right.
He'll come back if it's meant to come back.
Absolutely.
So instead of that, what I'd like each and every one of you to do right now is to take a beautiful deep breath in, let it out with love and a beautiful, graceful sigh. We're going to take a little station break, and when we come back, we're going to pick up our conversation with Melody and discussing really the emergence of multidimensional realities on this planet. Stay with us. We'll be right back.